Lake Mansion, Reno, Nevada. Myron Lake ran a ferry to get over the Truckee River, and this was his reward. One of the founding people of Reno. Hopefully we'll get to go inside. This is a museum and a rentable space for events. Inside the parlor of the Lake Mansion.
The reason why I'm not getting just a hybrid, like RAV4 hybrid, because you can only go up to like 30, 35 miles an hour, and then it turns to gas. It only says, so I'm not doing that.
There's Myron Lake. This is his son Charlie.
Did you get an electric charger where you can just charge it in an hour? Or do you have
My name is Bill. I'll be your tour guide today. And to start off this tour, we're going to get a little history before the house. And in meaning, we're going to start off with Myron Lake, who was one of the owners of the house. Reno itself wasn't established until 1868. Prior to that, there were trading posts and a bridge that crossed the river, basically at Virginia Street. Is where the first bridge was. And the first actual bridge and trading post was in 1852. A gentleman by the name of Jameson had the property at that time. He sold it to Mr. Fuller. And then in 1861, Myron Lake purchased the trading post and the bridge. Now it was a toll bridge at that time, from 1862 to 1872, Myron Lake had permission from the county legislature to run the toll bridge. That's where he managed to gather or make most of his money to start off with. I don't know how many of you are from Reno itself, but to give you an idea of how much property Myron Lake was in control of, it was basically everything inside the McCarran Loop today. Just to give you an idea of how much property he had. When he purchased the trading post, he was single at the time. 1864, he married Jane Lake, who's pictured over here. Okay, and a picture of Myron, of course, is over here. They in itself had one child. His name was Charles. His picture is right here. Okay, in 1864, Myron Lake talked with a friend of his, Charles Crocker of the CP&R, the railroad. They wanted to develop a city or a train stop in Nevada. At that particular time, there was only two stops, or there only ended up being two stops in Nevada itself. The whole state of Nevada. Winnemucca and Reno. And both those train stops were named after Civil War generals. Jesse Reno is, of course, Reno's namesake, and General Winnemucca, another Civil War general, was Winnemucca's train stop. The reason for that being is that Charles Crocker loved the Civil War history, and it was an aficionado, and he named the stops. At that particular time, when Charles Crocker became a partner with Myron Lake, Lake sold the railroad 160 acres of property. And between the two of them, they developed the township of Reno itself. So Myron Lake is touted to be the father of Reno. Why Charles Crocker didn't get mentioned in there, we don't know. But at the time, Lake was not a very well liked man. He was pretty nasty. As a landlord, you wouldn't want him as a landlord. We don't know for sure exactly when Myron Lake moved out of the trading post. We can only assume that it was sometime after they got married. We don't know exactly how long. I do know that in 1879, Myron Lake purchased this home to try and appease his wife, Jane. It was trying to create and build more. Now, you're all passing through the hallway. If you looked, the front door, the two ladies on the front door are Flora, the goddess of flowers in Greek mythology. Okay? And then the bouquet in a transom window up above is flowers, of course. They're original to the home. The stairs in itself is fairly steep. They didn't, the reason for the downstairs bedroom was to, in its original design, was to, if you were sick, you were birthing children or anything else, you stayed in this downstairs bedroom. So they didn't have to traipse up and down the stairs. Okay? Also, the stairs in itself is a Okay, since most of you are in here, we'll start off. This is considered the family parlor. It was the only downstairs room heated by the fireplace. The other room, the library and the main, were heated with little fireplaces, keep the chill off. You'll also notice that there's transom windows. Not there, of course, but there's one also in the library. That's how heat moved throughout the home. Since this door was closed 99% of the time. This door is the original family entrance. You know, if you wanted to, in its original position today, the garage was over here, so they come in the side door. You know, you didn't enter through the front door. This 10-foot ceilings, or I'm sorry, 12-foot ceilings. As I mentioned earlier, the carpets are in a replica. Fireplace is original, with the exception of the concrete brick here. When they moved it, they had to take out the concrete base for the fireplace. So it's not original. The tile on the sides is original. It's called salt block, and it came from England. Now, this salt block in itself is not necessarily considered a tile. I imagine it is in Europe a little bit, but the reason it's over here today is because at that particular point in time, it was used as ballast for the ships. They didn't have a full load coming back to the States, so they needed ballast. Now we do know that there was another bridge at the time when Myron Lake had the bridge going over with, and that was 6 miles east. In that time frame, that was a long ways. And
Kitchen.
what you see here today is supposedly a replica of how Jane had it arranged when she moved in here. She had this sink outside. I would assume she had a windmill and pump to get the water in the home. So it was designed basically like this. And like I said, at the particular point in time, servants cooked out somewhere in another building on the property. And the reason for that was, like anywhere in the early 1800s, 1900s, was they didn't want heat in the house.
Yeah. Makes
So
sense.
the kitchens were outside. In the South,
Especially in the hot time, summer.
some of the kitchens were in a basement. Yeah, heat rose. That's how they gained a lot of their heat. But the kitchen was down there, out of the way, so nobody could see it. It was in another building, similar to this one over here, I would assume.
Like in Downton Abbey.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Watch that. It's downstairs.
Yes, sir.
It's very interesting you mentioned that the part about kitchen being outside. Like I'm from Ukraine and my parents live in a village and they still have a like village house and there is kitchens outside. We just call it summer kitchen.
Yeah.
But they use the kind of all the time. But it's like just separate small house with the kitchen.
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting to see how it's similar across continents.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Let's say have all the butchering to do, so if you have a steer, you're not gonna bring it in here.
No.
No?
Well, like I said, they didn't cook in here at all.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
this was
Now,
just-
now, to be honest with you, the tenants that moved in afterwards, like the Trolls family had it from 1928 to 1971. I would assume that somewhere along the line, they had a stove brought into
Yeah, I was
this
gonna say,
kitchen.
yeah, you have to.
Or a hot plate.
Pardon?
Or a hot plate.
Yeah.
Fryer oven.
I know.
Air fryer, yeah.
This is